Yep.
All right, and a 3, and a 2.
RuPaul Drag Race.
Hey, kitty girls. It's Sunday, March 28th, 2021. And welcome to Comes Out Loud Drag Race. And we are discussing Season 13, Episode number 12, Nice Queen's Roast.
Oh wait, that's bad. Wait,
What were
don't
you?
do that. Well, I did this, and then I went like I did this with the two, and I'm like, wait, nope, that's giving the middle finger. Which
We'll get to that.
we'll get to that.
We'll get to that.
Mm.
Because, history was made in this episode
Mhm,
on several fronts.
mhm.
Here at episode 12 of the 13th season.
Ah,
I just realized
Yeah.
next week is 1313, season 13,
Mhm.
episode 13. That'll be interesting. Anyways, for those of you that may not know who we are, as your fabulous co-host, my name is Gary, and over here we have...
Hi, it's Damon. Welcome.
So, we're just going to jump right into things and start
Let's do it.
discussing what happened in this episode. And where's a little clippy clip?
Racers, start your engines, and may the best drag queen win.
Yes, so put the pedal to the metal. What are our overall thoughts on the episode? And it is a comedy roast. I called it the COVID-19 comedy roast.
Mhm.
Why? Because if you watch the episode, children, there was no audience.
Yes.
So it was just the queens that are competing off to the side. 3 Miss Congenialities come back as the ones to be roasted. And then we have the judges panel.
Mm-hmm.
So, very interesting setup.
Yeah.
That being said, Damon, what did you think of?
So overall thought, I put down. I wrote "Miss the Mark," and this. I always say these, and I think they always have like multiple like meanings, and that's kind of what I'm feeling here. This was a hard one to do. Like the roasts have always been difficult. There's always been like shining moments and hilarity and whatever. And this one was no different. Like, don't get me wrong. But I feel and fear it lost a lot of that energy because there was no audience.
Mm.
And I know you're missing, and I know we understand why. We know exactly why. Like it makes sense. But ooh, like when you bomb when you bomb in general, it's bad. But when you bomb on a stage with like no audience, whew, that's gotta sting. Like that has gotta hurt. And it happened a few times in this episode. And I just, yeah, it just was like, ooh.
I'm a little mixed on that because I'm like, I don't know if I'd want to bomb in front of 4 judges, 3 Miss Congenialities, and 5 other competitors for a total of 12 people, including the crew, or all of that and a 50-member audience. Because bombing in front of 50 more people, if they are as deadly silent as if they weren't there, child.
Yeah.
Like,
Well, as I will admit, I think queens sometimes get their energy from the audience. They get their as most performers do, and I think that's maybe part of it, and that's kind of what I'm feeling about it. Also, Mr. Mark kind of means maybe you should listen to the judges, listen to the people, listen when they are giving you some good, honest, like feedback. Um, we can hit that spoiler alert button here in a second.
if I can remember what all my stuff is.
Yeah. So, um, I'm gonna just be honest. I'm gonna say this now. We'll probably be talking about her for most of this episode, but Miss Utica, darling, um, you were told like maybe you shouldn't do that joke. Maybe you shouldn't do that joke. Maybe you shouldn't say that. Maybe you shouldn't like make those like maybe you just shouldn't like. I mean, just people. Maybe you just shouldn't. And I understand that you have this background in like improv and you know all this stuff and you're in your own fields and you've got this like I'm hilarious and this is gonna whatever. You are delusional because you were literally told like no, and you were told, and I will admit you were told in the nicest way possible. So maybe that's where you're like, maybe I don't need to listen because they weren't as harsh as they probably could have been. Because I bet if this had not been on TV, Miss Lonnie Love would have had some words to say to you.
Yeah.
So it it got borderline. Well, I know it didn't get borderline. It was full on cringy, like full on cringy. And then we get to like that, and that's just in the like rehearsal. Like let's put it like that. That is just in the rehearsal, and then we get to the actual episode or the roast, and you have done nothing and changed nothing,
Mm-hmm.
and it's just awful.
Right.
So many bombs, so many bombs. It's okay. It's bad. I mean, spoiler alert. It was bad, y'all. So if the spoiler alert gives you anything, like the coming on again, it was terrible. Like, Mama, this was garbage. Can we give you any more like moments? Like, ooh, ooh.
That's what I gotta
Okay.
capture for the future.
Uh
Write myself a note.
huh. But yeah, it was just bad. And I will say, like, missing that mark, missing that moment, like,
Mm-hmm.
and I will say this: if the jokes had been presented in a different way, they might have been successful.
Mm-hmm.
Like like everyone knows to have fun and be funny, and a roast is meant to be like poking jabs at things and like going for it. And again, there is a thin line. Well, I don't want to say a thin line. There's a line between like funny and mean or hurtful,
Mm-hmm.
and you can cross that line. And I think I will admit Utica crossed that line
Mm-hmm.
a couple of times. So there's that. What about you, Mr. Gary?
Um, so I said yowza.
Ooh.
Cringy is a great word.
Mhm.
Six queens do some stand up. Uh, Three of them rise to the occasion. Three of them not so much.
Mm-mm.
Of the three not so much, one of them absolutely bombs and does not really recover.
Mm-mm.
One of them tries hard, not good enough.
Mm-hmm.
So, and one of them is apparently, according to the preview for next week, on a hell of an emotional like downturn.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm going to be very interesting to see how that plays out. We'll probably discuss that in the post show.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, it was like it was. So I will say this: I was surprised and annoyed that the show started off well.
Mm-hmm.
We got a manipulated story arc, got Mick Rose to the occasion
Mm-hmm.
in the middle, and of
Mm-hmm.
course Rose bookended and wrapped the
Mm-hmm.
show.
Yeah.
So, like,
I
Rosé was the one everyone expected to do well. Rosé did do well.
Mm-hmm.
The judges feel contestant number 1 in the lineup did so well, deserved to win.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know how I feel about that.
Well, I'm gonna get to that later.
I figured as much as the notes. So yeah, I mean it's just so Yowza, like it was all over the place. It was unexpected in some
Yeah.
ways, yet predictable.
Yeah.
Like when you're roasting the Miss Congenialities, so we have Heidi in Closet from
Mm-hmm.
season 12, which was
Mm-hmm.
so nice to see her there.
Yeah.
And then we have Valentina
Mm-hmm.
from season 9.
Fan favorite. Yeah. Yeah. Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah.
And then you have Nina West from 11, I think.
Yes.
So, I was a little annoyed. I will say this, that the go-to with Nina appeared to be her broad shoulders,
Mm-hmm.
like her size or whatever, like in terms of like how she's built. Like
Mm-hmm.
once Candy went there, I was like, well, that kind of screwed everybody else.
I mean, true.
But yet nobody was really kind of crafty enough to avoid it. And even Rosé, like Rosé had another joke prepared to tell about Nina because Candy basically took her joke in some fashion in the lineup. So, but yeah. So, like, my point is, excuse you. So when you have the 3, someone of their loud ass muffler. So when you have the 3 Miss Congenialities up there, and they talk back to your ass, like, because they're witty and they got good comebacks, like, child, that's not quite how that's supposed to go. I mean, it can, but the only way I would feel comfortable with it if I'm roasting them is because we are having a kiki on stage. Like, and everybody is finding it funny. Do you know what I mean? Like, if you could play it off in a nice banter and everybody finds everything funny on both sides.
Yeah. Agreed. And that's kind of how I was feeling about it too. Like there there were moments in, like I said, when the bombing was going on, like if there had been an audience, like we needed those like clapbacks and moments from like the congenialities or the judges, because like it sucked the energy out of the room so bad, how bad it was going.
Right, and you had no filler without an
Mm-hmm.
audience between punchlines, between jokes. There's nothing. There's no laughter or clapping or howling or like
I mean, there's some, but
sighing, air being sucked in, like, you know, like there was nothing. There was nothing to fill the in between. So when Simone is just struggling from joke to joke with her cards, I'm like, this is horrible. Like this is a nightmare. This is downright frightening and made me cringe and so uncomfortable. And I really felt for Simone, and I was like, yep, this is not your gig, girl. Not your gig at all, in any way, shape, or form, and you're in trouble.
Yeah. Yep.
So there's
Simone, you in danger, girl.
You ready to move on?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Cover girl, put the bass in your walk. Cover girl.
All right, children, it's time to stop the runway. Oh, wait, that's right. There was no runway this week.
No.
Because there was a comedy roast, and apparently that took so long with 6 contestants with the 3 Miss Congenialities as guests. We just decided to suddenly turn it into a review on the main challenge only, and what you presented, what you wore during the roast is all you had to go with. And I think that is a normal pattern
maybe, maybe, yeah. Well,
But
yeah, because I don't think I'm kind of like the first one that comes to mind is the I think season 9 roast,
mhm,
and I don't recall them doing a runway.
yeah,
I recall them just like being on stage and then
right.
so yeah.
Which is gonna probably lead to our comments on this. So I just simply wrote the category is whatever you want. Apparently.
Yeah.
So David, what did you think of what was presented?
um, so one of the things I will admit, and I know this is going to maybe throw a little bit of shade to the queens, but I love the congenials. I love what they brought. I loved what they wore. I love Nina always going for the love is love and supportive and rainbow of the pride and everything else. I'm always been a fan of her. Valentina looked really good. Um, I like her darker hair and kind of the side swoop moment and the dress. I mean, she's like this big, so like kudos to her and finding a dress. But my highlight, my high moment was actually for Heidi. The makeup wasn't the greatest. I will admit that, and I hate saying that, but that's just me. Um, but over that outfit was bomb, and I will admit I was thoroughly impressed. I got the Michael Jackson reference like right quick there. Our Moonwalker, I think was the movie, if I'm remembering the name correctly.
Hmm.
Anyway, so kudos to her, and it looked really good on her. The contestants looked okay. Like, and I hate saying that and saying it that way, and I know that sounds super shady, but like, um, nothing really like stood out for me. Well, that's not true. I think if Simone hadn't bombed so much, I would have been really impressed by her look. I know that sounds bad, but that's how I feel about it. Like the gold kind of
Mm,
thing, and I love I remembering the gloves kind of had this duochrome with like a black kind of the feel going for it, and I like that. Um, um, Other than that, it felt I hate to say it, but it felt like let me pull something that I have in my closet and throw it on,
mm-hmm.
and here you go. Um, even I don't want to say that, and I will like Rosé's was like big, and I really did like that. I feel like the hair was familiar, like it's been worn before. But other than that, like it was okay. I was, but nothing really like grabbed me.
Yeah.
What about you?
So I said some interesting choices. So I'm going to follow your pattern. Talk about the congenialities first. I agree. Like they all presented themselves very well. Heidi's makeup not necessarily looking that great. I'm a little surprised by because she's actually improved quite a bit. If you've seen her on social media,
Mm-hmm.
she's learned blending better and a whole lot of
Mm-hmm.
things. But this was filmed late last summer.
Mm-hmm.
So what I'm not sure about is if she was in the journey of improving her makeup or if she kind of forgot what it was like to paint for camera versus
Mm.
painting for stage in a club. Like that's one of
Yeah.
the things we've learned over all these 13 seasons is like, baby, HD cameras ain't your friend. And like things look totally different under all those lights than, just like a spotlight and some random gels and LEDs, in a
Mm-hmm.
club.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, I mean, um, there was something about Nina's outfit that kind of bothered me a little bit. Like, I liked it, but I think what I was bothered by, and this is just a personal thing, and I know it's like kind of an asshole comment. Her outfit, the way it was constructed, it showed off her shoulders. And I was like, is that really a goal? Like, is the goal to show off your broad shoulders, girl? Like, you got big old hair on. Like, we got some big ass pink wavy hair. So we got that going for us. And that, but, and obviously it was a custom, outfit that had been put together. So She looked good, but I was just like, do we do we need to see all of that? Like, there is such a thing as showing off a clavicle, darling, but usually that works better when you're framed and silhouetted in a certain way, like, and I think that works better on more diminutive bodies. So yeah, I was kind of mixed on that. Valentina's was a multi-piece. I don't know if you saw that, Damon. You're muted.
Yes.
So I was surprised because there's a beautiful photo that was shared online, I think by Nina or by Heidi on Twitter, that showed the three of them together as Miss Congenialities with one of the crew members. And I don't know who the crew member is. He's cute. But it's not really my type, but I was like, oh, he's cute. So he was probably their wrangler or whatever. But notably, Valentina ain't got no bottom half of a dress on.
Oh.
So her ass is hanging out. I mean, and it looks good, but I was like, dang, girl. And there's a brief mention of it in Untucked. When they get called to go back to the, or to, leave the workroom. She gets up out of the director's chair and goes away, and one of the contestant queens is like, hello, ass, or whatever, and I was like, and I didn't catch it immediately, but so yeah, I thought that was really interesting. I have a feeling she wanted to kind of be the more provocative look, but for the stage they made her put the dress portion of the outfit on, because when she comes out, it's full length to the floor. And I was like, I don't remember her butt hanging out. And I was like, oh, that's because she had it covered up. She pulled it Olivia, I guess, if you want to make a reference to the design or whatever.
Yeah.
It was a reveal.
I'm having this, this was how so this is if it's going to load, there we go. And
yeah.
So I saw this picture and I was like, oh, that's really cool. And I really appreciated seeing it that way. Because now there's an inside of it, obviously, and then two, other way. Cameras are hard. I like this, seeing it like this. I'm just gonna be honest, it's not as bad. It doesn't accentuate the shoulders. Granted, she's taking it off, but
right. So Nina's upper outfit is kind of a wrap that goes around her shoulders, and it has armholes through it, and like you're saying, so the inside across the whole top says love is love is love is love is love is love is love. But then on the when you open it like it's a jacket or whatever, down below it says be kind with a heart. And I don't know what the other side says. In this photo, she's infamously at Nina Westway in Columbus, Ohio. So yeah, she does look pretty good at it, but
it's a lot of shoulder.
It's all the shoulder.
Yeah.
There's nothing hiding it.
Yeah, as compared. So sorry, people who are listening to this show. So there's that. So that's a screen. There we go. That's a screenshot from the episode.
Right.
And you can kind of be like, ooh, that's
right. When she wears it like a vested jacket with this big flare coming up around her head, it really, silhouette wise, it has all you're doing is accentuating how broad the shoulders are, with this cut in, you know what I mean? It just,
yeah. And I'm gonna just check one other person's while you keep talking, or if you're good. Or
no, so yeah, basically, so with the Congenialities, I thought they looked pretty good. I agree that Heidi's, was a really nice presentation as far as the outfit. I also found it interesting that she did the 2 in 1, male female kind of thing, because it's been seen before several times. And but I thought that it was executed well. I also couldn't help but think of Elliot with 2 T's when I saw the leg, because it was that one, both legs are pants, but one leg is meant to replicate a dress. And it was making me think of the flamingo outfit that Elliot with 2 T's had, where everybody was bitching online about the tan dress part, and anyways. And then for the rest of the queen. So here was my thing is, okay, rosé girl, like I get that you like a certain look and an aesthetic, and that was super obvious from what you presented in the comedy roast. It was too big, mama. Like it almost was on the verge of swallowing you. It was very busy. Like
Mm-hmm.
I would expect you to wear that number when I pay money to come see you on tour, and you're gonna do a lot of twirling and
Mm-hmm.
splits and just kicking
Yeah.
and all sorts of stuff. I thought it was a bit much for the roast. The hair, if I'm not mistaken, is the same hair that was worn in the very first musical that they did.
Oh no no no! I think it was the one that she wore in Phenomenon. The number that they did, the losers, the pork chop queens.
Maybe.
Maybe, maybe. But anyway,
So yeah, and it's not really too much of a critique. I mean, it's like you only have so many wigs, girl. So I can understand where there comes a point where you're like, well, shit, I gotta start recycling some things. Um, yeah, like Candy.
y'all. Okay, okay,
So
okay.
let me say this because I want to get this out of the way because I'm not gonna beat up on her. Like her face looked good, her body looked better. Like the cinched waist thing was a huge improvement. I was shocked as to how good it looked. Like how much I didn't realize that should have been done all season. Um, the evening gown, like the simple black spaghetti strap gown, was a little plain. She's a taller guy with broader shoulders. You know what I mean? Like, so there's a part of me that's like, that probably would have looked better if you'd had a half jacket on
Mm-hmm.
to help cover the shoulders and the arms. But, and I agree with Michelle that the wig needed a little volume because
Mm-hmm.
it looked pretty damn flat.
Yeah.
Uh, which is not a good look on a round face like
No,
hers.
it is not. Um. Um. That dress was too short.
Mm.
Like I've like watching. I don't again. It looked, and I'm just this is going to be a full on critique, and I'm going to say it, and I'm going to own it. It looked store bought.
Right.
Like it looked like I got this at Claire's or
Mm-hmm.
whatever,
Yeah.
and then it didn't fit right. Like, and I don't know. Either it was too small,
Mm-hmm.
which fair, or it was just not long enough. Considering it might have been a if it were store bought, it was probably meant for a shorter female, you know, type frame.
Right.
And unfortunately, it showed when yeah, when they were behind the podium, it wasn't as bad, but when she was walking in and then left, like the slits on the sides are too high up, like they were borderline on the waist.
Mm.
They were at least on the hips, and that's a little too high for a slit in any like most dresses.
Right.
And then when it didn't like hit the floor and was kind of hitting this weird nebulous zone on the calf, that's a little problematic for me. I'm not saying it needs to be floor length,
Right.
but it needs to either get to an ankle or it needs to go up
Right.
and be a little shorter.
Yeah. Um. So, uh, Simone, I thought looked really good. I'm still not sure how I feel about that reddish auburn hair with the gold.
Mm-hmm.
I would have preferred something more shocking, like
Mm.
as a color. Like how wild would it have been if she went with like, um, I don't know. Well, I mean, you'd have to be a little careful on it. I was just thinking like a bright neon, like,
Mm.
do you know what I mean? Like something that was a
Yeah.
really like artsy pop of color.
Mm-hmm.
Pink's overdone.
Yeah.
I mean, it could have been electric blue. Ooh, no, girl. What if she'd had a midnight blue navy kind of wig, like same style,
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
just like because I
Something a
felt
little, but
I felt the wig was too muted. Like there was just something I
mm-hmm.
was like, it's not really coming together for me.
In certain lights, it was coming on as about the same color as her skin,
Mm.
a little bit, and it looked like not, and it looked like it was blending in. I mean, it's great when it's like the lace, but like
Right.
it looked very blended in.
Yeah. Gottmik looked really, really good. I was
Mm-hmm.
intrigued with Gottmik's asymmetrical hairstyle
Mm-hmm.
and how, like, especially at Untucked or when she was like to the side, she kept playing with this part and pulling
Mm-hmm.
it straight out, like, which was making it very artsy, like choppy kind of looking, which was
Yeah.
intriguing me. Like as a nervous tick, she kept playing with it or whatever,
Yeah.
and I was like, okay, girl, like, um, but she had another evening gown and I thought that worked for her. So
Mm-hmm.
it's interesting. Like I was thinking, like it would have been better if they had been unified, but of course they couldn't be, since there were six of them. If they could have worn a rainbow set of colors
Mm-hmm.
and been in the order, do you know what I
Mm-hmm.
mean? Red, orange,
Yeah.
yellow, blue, green. You know, or red, orange, yellow, green, blue, purple. I mean, it's not all the colors as we now try to represent, but I think that would have been
Yeah.
something. But anyways, so I mean, she looked all right. Utica, girl, like that outfit was interesting. It's classic you, but you looked like a child's toy. Like the bubble thing on your head, that fascinator, whatever it was, like headpiece, made me think of like the Fisher Price bubble
Like,
popper.
oh,
Like
bubble popper. Oh,
when
okay.
you push, like it's supposed to
Uh-huh.
imitate like a vacuum or whatever, and it has that
Yeah.
little thing that jumps so the balls go
Mm-hmm.
pop, 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 or whatever.
Yep. Yep. Yep.
It made
Yep.
me think of that. But then she's wearing this lavender like coat thing that of course like she made and it fits her. And then we've got like kind of the skirt, dress, bottom, whatever, and these
Mm-hmm.
huge flouncy frilly like sleeves that come out. And I was like, girl, what are you? Like a feather duster for like a 6-year old? I was
Yeah.
child.
It was a
So
look. It was a choice. It
yeah.
was it was it just didn't.
It was I didn't dislike
Yeah, I
it,
didn't hate it.
but for the roast,
Yeah.
I was like,
Like,
are you trying to be a clown
I
of some
mean,
kind? I don't
I
understand.
mean, yeah.
Yeah,
But
but then she wasn't
it
funny, so that
yeah,
was
well, I mean,
yeah. Simone, or sorry, Olivia. I thought she looked cute.
yeah.
Um, I appreciated that the bottom of the dress, like that ombre gradient outfit,
Mm-hmm.
that the dress ended with orange, and that was pretty much matching to the hair color. Like she did really well with that. Uh,
Mm-hmm.
but
It The cut seemed weird to me. And that's just me. Like so
yeah,
if you look at it like on the sides, there was this like little bit of fabric like hanging out on the side that looks like. And again, I don't know if that's a conscious choice. I'm assuming it's a conscious choice, or if it was just something left over. It took away from it a little bit for
yeah.
me anyway.
And
Uh,
again, it looked more like a cocktail outfit that you would wear
yeah,
to walk around in a club pre-show,
yeah,
like, but as
and
opposed
and
to
that's kind
roasting.
of way I felt about Candy and I hate to say it, got Mick
Mm,
and her, where there are these outfits that look like I'm out tittying with the crowd. Like I'm out just like this is where I came to the bar. I'm here. I've got my stuff in the back. Let me just grab a cocktail and walk around with the crowd before I go get ready. That's what it felt like to me.
yeah,
These felt like, and I keep saying it. I'm gonna say it like bottom of the like oh, let me just throw this on.
right.
Like
And then like Rose, like I was saying, like, it was too much. Like I especially the jacket, like
yeah,
those shoulders. Like I mean, it was just there was a part of me that was like, okay, like I get it, it's you, but this you're overwhelming everybody else
everything.
with what you're
I,
wearing, and that's not really needed or required in
yeah,
this moment.
Yeah.
So, anyways,
Like I didn't need that jacket. I think if she had taken it off and just worn like the silhouette of what was underneath, it probably would have gone a lot better.
maybe.
Maybe,
Yeah,
maybe. All right.
difficult to say.
Mm-hmm.
You ready to move on?
Yes, let's.
All right, kittens, it's time for snaps and eye rolls. The hits and the misses, aka the highs and the lows of the episode. Damon, who you giving snaps to?
Okay, so this episode had everything, and I'm giving snaps mostly to one, but the judges were on point. Like, oh my god, y'all! Like they were ready. Like I think they knew that there wasn't an audience that they needed to kind of interact and engage with the queens,
Mm-hmm.
but there were two moments by this judge, by Miss Lonnie Love, that were like amazing. And my favorite one, my favorite moment is so it's during Utica's set, and Utica like gives a joke about like something about like your comedy career. Like it's some I don't know what it was that kind of hit the triggered the moment, but she was kind of saying something bad about Lonnie's Love's comedy career. And Lonnie just busts out laughing. And then it goes, but you're the one that's bombing. And I died. I died. Because it was like everyone was just like, oh, there were Muppet Flip arms everywhere. It was so amazing. I was loving it. It was epic. Epic clapback. Epic. And then later on when they're critiquing, and they get to Utica, Lottie was like, boo! And I was like, yep, 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 yep. Oh, it was music to my ears. It made me feel so good. And it's like I don't follow Lonnie on Twitter, but I did see that some of the other queens have tweeted her. She kind of said she was doing it in to kind of help. And I'm really like, okay, like I know where that came from. I know exactly where that moment came from.
The boo or the but you're the
They,
one who's bombing.
yeah, you're the one that's bombing.
Oh,
That came, that's the one that they were saying. Like I was trying to help. I'm like, sure, sure, Jan, sure.
right.
But it was good. Epic clapbacks. Yes, yeah.
Nice.
Mm-hmm. I mean, in this one in particular, I don't know if you're going. Are you going to get to it? Okay, I'll wait for you.
Okay. So I'm giving snaps for congenial wit. I thought that all three of the Miss Congenialities handled themselves very well. And like compose themselves well on stage.
Mm-hmm.
Like they've been through the gauntlet before, so they know what it's like to be in front of cameras on the stage in front of the crew. And I think all of them, three of them, were very appreciative of being able to come back.
Mm-hmm.
Nina, we know, had to fly back from Columbus, like to travel.
Mm-hmm.
I'm pretty sure Heidi came from the East Coast,
Mm.
and
I would think.
Valentina lives in California, as much as I know of, still to this day. So, like, what's interesting is I bring that up because usually when they bring people onto set, especially as a guest or guest judge or whatever, like, notably, all of them are pretty much all California based,
Mm-hmm.
which is convenient, for like distance and travel and all that kind of stuff. But in this case, they brought, the congenialities, and they all are not like, right down Rodeo Drive or anything. So,
Mm-hmm.
like, but no, I thought their congenials wit, like how they handled themselves, was really, really good. How they like kind of like clap back when they needed to clap back or respond appropriately. Yeah. So I did find
Mm-hmm.
it interesting. Speaking of Utica and her bombing, Nicole Byer posted on Twitter, and I'm paraphrasing here. She said that Utica's whale joke was funny. She's like, and it was kind of in defense of Utica,
Uh-huh.
and I get it, like, but I think the thing is, like, it just didn't play well, or at least
Yeah.
in the edit of what we had,
Mm-hmm.
it didn't go very
Yeah.
well.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
I will say this. I will put it like if her joke had been presented well,
Mm.
it probably would have been funny.
Yeah.
Like, and I just don't think it was presented well enough to make it funny.
Or most of them.
I mean, all of them, but except for the first one, her balls joke about that was the only one really to me.
Yeah.
Ooh, excuse me, that kind of like hit for me, and we know it was bad. We know it was going wrong because we got from Miss RuPaul herself,
Mm-hmm.
not just one, but twice, and not just one, but two middle fingers right at her, and another like um another hand gesture that was so like that they had to like
Pixelate it.
blur out.
Yes, yes.
And I was just like, "Woo!" Man, like
Yeah, she came for the judges
mm-hmm,
and did not really stray from the mean.
mm-hmm.
So, yes, we ended up with this moment. So, surprise, surprise, children. Here is what we're talking about in case you didn't happen to see it.
Look at you. I didn't know you had it. I love it. Yes.
Now, to be fair, this was one of the best moments Utica got in her entire set because she ripped on Rue about being such a fashion icon, and then she asked her to stand from behind the judges' panel, knowing full well that Mama Rue, once she goes to judges' panel, is no longer in the same look that you saw before, from the waist up, perhaps, but from the waist down, baby. She's got sweatpants on. She's got slippers. Like, it is infamous for many seasons now that she gets super comfortable once she's behind the dais and she's up there with the judges. And so Utica knew that, and that's why she said that. And I was like, when I watched it last night, I was like, oh my God, she went there.
Mm-hmm.
And then Rue had the best reaction of all. And I was like, and that has become the newest meme of all the memes you have ever seen from Drag Race.
Mm.
Yes. Yes. So
I
for those of you that don't know, like, and can't see what we're looking at and what we're talking about, there is this amazing like moment, and it's actually made into GIFs already. Like, there are these freeze frames, like I'm showing, of Rue on the judges panel, sitting there flipping two middle fingers at Utica for exactly that joke, wanting her to stand up behind the desk, like behind the dais, knowing full well that Rue would not be able to do that.
So that is new knowledge to me.
Oh, you didn't know that Rue?
I didn't. I did not know that.
Oh yeah, that Willem
But
and other of the queens have talked about it for years now. That once she's done on the runway with her like spiel, and then they go and they're doing nothing but shooting from behind the judges' dais panel or whatever. Oh yeah, she's like, why does she still need to be up in full geese?
I
Like,
mean,
there's no reason.
You don't need to. Yeah, there's no need for that.
Alaska, I think, was the first one to say, not the very first to reveal it, but was the first one to say, like, I feel like a dumb bitch, basically. Like, why didn't I think of that? Like,
it's true. Like, I'm not gonna be wrong. Like, as a queen, like sometimes when you are like done, like already, like you have done what you need to do. You get out of that shit.
Like, I mean, how many times have people been to see a drag queen, and when they're done, girl, they're done. Like, they don't, like, not even for post show, like, you know, selfies around the bar or the club. Like, they are backstage and they are like completely back into boy. They are like, nope. Nope, not happening.
Censors come off, waist, like
Right.
titties come flying, like heels off, pantyhose down, like and don't get it twisted. Like if you're wearing a gown and it's got like a big, like it's big and floofy, like
Mm-hmm.
I know some queens that don't even bother like putting on pantyhose or whatever because they know like no one gonna see it.
Right. Absolutely.
Absolutely.
Many queens I've heard in podcasts and interviews talk about, like, they reveal, they're like, I'm not tucked in this moment. You can't tell. Like,
Yeah.
like, it's just none of that. Yeah. Agreed. So, yeah,
Mm.
that was all the fun of that.
That's
Anyways,
hilarious.
to keep moving on, eye rolls. David, who you
Oh, what are we doing eye rolls for? Okay.
like any of us are surprised?
So I wrote down, and I think we're probably going to be on the same page, Gary, but the narrative pushed.
Mm.
So all throughout this episode, we were getting all of these moments, like kind of talking about like we're in the top six. We, here's where everyone is. Like Simone's got 4 wins, and Olivia's got 2 wins, and everyone's got a win except Candy. And it just felt very pushed narrative about like she doesn't have a win.
Mm-hmm.
And then we get to, so she wins the mini challenge. She's won mini challenges. Don't get me wrong. We get to the mini challenge, or we get to the maxi challenge, and her and Rose have like we're gonna book in the thing, which are the good or bad, depending on how things go.
Mm-hmm.
Moment places to be, and then she comes in and she's good. She's good. I'm not hating on her roast. I
Mm-hmm.
thought it was pretty good. I personally felt that Got Mix was better.
Okay.
But guess who won this challenge?
Not Gottmik.
Not Gottmik, not Rose.
Not Rose. Yeah.
Yeah. So Candy wins this challenge, so she's got to win,
Mm-hmm.
which I think is again pushing this narrative that we've been forced to fed this entire season
Right.
of where she's going and where she's being placed. And again, we know it's produced. We know it's you know it's reality TV. We know all of this stuff. It still kind of sucks. And that's why I'm getting my eye rolls to it because it feels very much like season 10 with Eureka,
Mm-hmm.
where we're pushing this narrative. And we know she's not going to win. Like, I'm just going to say this and I'm saying it now. And if she wins, like, okay. But I don't see Candy winning.
Mm-hmm.
That doesn't discredit her as a queen or a performer or what have you and everything, but I don't see her winning Drag Race.
Right.
So being pushed this kind of narrative for no reason. Not no reason. That's not true. You know what I mean. Being pushed this narrative for the sake of television
Right.
and production is getting grating. Yeah. Yeah.
Mm.
Yeah. Like, Gary.
So yeah, we're kind of on the same page. I mean, I have eye rolls and I said, oh yay, she finally won.
Mm.
I mean, what more is there to say? So Candy has a win, and Utica left, and now there's 5, and next week is episode 13, and another queen leaves, and that'll give us the top 4.
Mm-hmm.
But presumably there's going to be an episode 14 before we get to the reunion in 15, before we get to the finale in 16.
Mm.
So I guess that means we're going to end up with the top 3.
Maybe.
Yeah. So I'm like, all right, great. So she won. Like, and don't get me wrong, like she is good for television, as much as like she's been annoying and like she's actually calmed down. There's notably
Mm-hmm.
been a story arc. She went
Mm-hmm.
from like bougie, annoying to like progressing and evolving and developing to this point. Um, but I agree with you. Like it really felt like we're kind of handing this to her and
Mm-hmm.
going through these different things. Um, so yeah,
Yeah.
I'm not sure what's to come, but that's kind of why I made the comment I think a week ago, or was it the week before that? No, I think it was a week ago when we were getting to the top 6, and I was like, okay, so yeah, when Denali left, I was really like, oh, we're really kind of making it super obvious that Candy's probably going to be in top 4, and
Mm-hmm.
I'm not sure how I feel about that. Like,
Yeah.
I actually I do know I'm not happy about it.
Mm-hmm.
I don't want her to not make top 4. It's not coming together for me. It's
Yeah.
like it is feeling produced or whatever.
Yeah. It's feeling forced. It's being forced upon you as
Yeah,
opposed to it kind of happening organically, if
yeah,
that makes sense.
hmm
And I think maybe that's where I'm at as well. It just feels like it. Actually, I'll put it like this: it's felt kind of this way for a little while, and I keep going back to season 10, but I think it's been a little bit like that beforehand. Um, it's losing the upset. We're
mm,
losing that, like, you know fan favorite, like someone that we all can kind of get behind, and losing that, like, oh, they really came out and they did something really good, and I can't believe they did that, and look at them,
right.
they've had this arc of like success, and now they're in the end you
Yeah.
know um One of my favorite examples, and I felt that way about Naomi in her season, um and even Kim Chi in a sense, but Naomi for sure. um, she wasn't doing all that great in the beginning, and then all of a sudden she kind of turned it around, and she was doing well, and then she made it into the top 3, and I was okay with that because it felt natural.
Mm,
Um, this feels, again, forced, lopsided. Um, it feels off.
yeah.
Like, again, it feels like it was created and generated as opposed to it happening.
Right.
Yeah.
Hmm. Well, I think there's more to be said on it, but we have a couple more episodes to go this season, so we will see how it plays itself out.
Agreed.
Um, yeah. That being said, if you have thoughts on the season and or thoughts on our thoughts, you can contact us several different ways. You can go to our website blog, cubsoutloud.com. You could send us an email at cubsoutloud@gmail.com. You could leave us a voicemail message. We'd be happy to play it on the show or not and just discuss it. The number is 361-COL Talk. That's 361-265-8255. Social media outlets, just type in Cubs Out Loud as one word and you'll find us on there. If you would like to join the Entourage Telegram social chat for Cubs Out Loud Drag Race, you would go to tinyurl.com/telegram. That's TELEGRAM -COLDR.
And I'm lifting the moratorium right as we speak.
Good. Because I'm sure there's some thoughts. And if you would like to know about the regular episodes of the Cubs Out Loud that we produce, we have them listed on our Google Calendar online. You can go to tinyurl.com/calendar-col. If you would like to support the podcast overall, you can go to zazzle.com/cubsoutloud and you can get some different accoutrement on there. Damon is wearing the drag consent is my foreplay shirt. So those are the drag pride colors and symbol with the crown. that came out of Austin Drag Fest 2 years ago. I want to say something like that.
A few years ago, yeah.
And I am wearing our like weathered embroidered ball cap. One of my first things I got, yeah, and favorites.
I think first thing, yeah.
So, oh no, maybe the brown hooded sweatshirt was like the first.
Maybe.
Anyways, so there's lots of things on there that you could happen to pick up. You could become a patron at patreon.com/cubsoutloud. And for as little as $1 a month, you get full access to all the episode information, like the pre-show, the post-show, all that kind of jazz. And depending on what tier of benefits you receive, you'll get other items. And if you would, excuse me, if you would like to make a donation one time without becoming a patron, you can do that too. You can go to paypal.me/cubsoutloud. And if you would like to help us get the word out, promote the podcast, we would appreciate it if you would rate us 5 stars on iTunes, please, and leave a comment there. Pretty much subscribe anywhere that there are podcasts available. COLDR does have its own feed, so if you're not interested in the other things and you're just interested in the Drag Race part, that's fine. You can get that for us as well. And we have a playlist on YouTube, so if you do want to watch. So if you're listening to this and you didn't know that we're on video, we are. And we get to see how fabulous Damon looks every single week. David, where would people find you online?
If you wish to get in touch with me, you can find me as TheaterCup79 on most bear-related sites or on Facebook. Or you can find me as pup_Umbra on Twitter. The Twitter is definitely not safe for work. And it is a combination of like my drag stuff and porn stuff and anime stuff and porn stuff and more porn stuff and the occasional message moment. So yeah, but let me know if you're following me. I usually don't care so much, but like, mama, there's spam. So
yeah,
go for it.
Bots abound. If you would like to get in touch with me, you can pretty much find me anywhere online as Gamer73. Specifically, when it comes to all things drag, I have a separate Twitter account. It's just GARBEAR73DRAG. And with that, we are going to say ciao for now, and we will see you next week when we discuss episode 13.
Ooh. Oh, bye, everybody. Say goodbye to the queens. I can't believe you still keep that in there. Oh. Bye, Utica.
You're not hearing me at all. I'm busy yammering, and I was on mute the whole time. I was like, that's weird. Damon's not responding. Oh.
It's really quiet. I was sitting there thinking, like, it's really quiet. And I'm like, oh, well, maybe he's giving it time. Like, between, so that, there's silence between.